Well, guys, here it is on a Sunday morning. I'm snowed in, and I really haven't had any time to work on my book since it started snowing. But I did have time this week and the last couple of weeks to do some really good interviews with some people. So, what I wanted to do is take a little bit of time today to share something different with you today. Not to teach, not to explain, just to let you overhear what I've been thinking about as I work on my next book. Over the last few weeks, something interesting has been happening. There's been more conversations, more therapists reaching out, more people saying, I thought I was the only one that was feeling this way. So I thought I'd pause the usual rhythm just long enough to share what's forming with you. So here's what keeps coming up for me. Smart, skilled practitioners doing meaningful work and still feeling stretched. Not because they don't love what they do, not because they're doing it wrong, but because the structure underneath their work hasn't evolved with them. I did an article for Massage Today magazine back in the 2000s, and it was about the evolution of massage. And at that moment, it came from some inner pressure that was happening with me, even with structure back then. That article became a number one article. I was requested from all over the United States to come and speak at events. It was a wonderful time for me. But to be honest, even that article kind of scared me. And I think that's where a lot of massage therapists get, or a lot of practitioners get, is that we get in this familiar state. We've got this routine, and we keep thinking the more that we do, the better we'll feel. So, what surprised me as I started writing was how often we try to add our way out of that feeling, right? More sessions, more techniques, more effort, more services, more modalities, find your niche. The list goes on and on and on. And yet, the question that kept returning was, what if the issue isn't effort at all? As I've been writing, I keep circling back to the idea of structure. And of course, it is about scaling wellness with structure. So I'm constantly coming back to the structure and the scaling. So as I keep circling back on this idea, it's not about a rigid system, or it's not hustle, but it's support. Now, I'm going to pause there because as I've continued to do my interviews, it's obvious that there is an issue out there, because one of the interviews that I did is a person has structured themselves to be the support for the overwhelmed or burned out or exhausted therapist now. So I'll be talking about that more later. But what I realized is that the seasons where my work felt most sustainable weren't the ones where I worked harder. They were the ones where I quietly integrated support that carried some of the load for me. Oh, gosh. Can you already feel that? I mean, I've already got goosebumps. This shift didn't announce itself. It didn't come from fanfare. It simply allowed me to stop compensating with my own energy. What's been interesting is how often practitioners then ask, so could something like that support my clients too without changing my work? That question alone tells me a lot. It tells me people aren't looking for another service. They're looking for longevity. They want to protect their hands, their focus, their presence. And that's really what this next book is all about. Not scaling in a loud way, but scaling in a way that doesn't cost you yourself. And too many of everybody out there seeing my post and putting structure this and scaling that. Now all they're doing is rinse and repeat. They're not scaling and they're not structuring. They're doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. I think there's a name for that, but we'll move on. So I'm not here to explain everything to you today, or to anyone for that matter today. This was just a window into what's been forming as I write. I think it's important. If you're curious, truly curious about what I've been learning or about the quiet support that made this shift possible for me, you can reach out. I've made it easy to explore. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. There's no pressure and there's no rush. And if this simply gave language to something you've already been feeling, that was enough for today. So more to come as the book comes together. For now, thank you for listening and for thinking alongside of me. I appreciate you.